Welcome back to the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm Aaron Brightman on this Tuesday, June 11th. This episode is brought to you by the Knights of the Raritan, the Rutgers NIL Collective. Join their free newsletter. I'll have the link in the description of this episode. Provides an update on all things Rutgers athletics. Knights of the Raritan provides a unique way for Rutgers athletic programs to be successful in the ever-changing NIL environment. Become a member of the Knights of the Raritan, exclusive event invites, and more. Helping Rutgers student athletes with NIL is the ultimate goal, and Rutgers football 2025 recruiting class grows by a big one on Tuesday. Four-star offensive lineman Jaelyne Matthews out of Toms River North, with the commitment to the Scarlet Knights, had a final three of Georgia, Tennessee, and Miami. Ultimately added some dramatic flair. Rutgers legend Todd Frazier and adopted son with the Rutgers wrestling program, Frankie Edgar, delivering a pizza with an R shaped out of pepperonis for the announcement as Matthews was on stage with hats of his finalists. So let's hope that the flair for the dramatic results in big performances on the field in the future. Gives him an offensive lineman that if Pat Flaherty can get the most out of Matthews and really develop him and generate some consistency. I mean, there's no doubt he has a ton of talent, power, fundamentally sound. It's about getting the most out of him, consistency. But, there's no doubt the talent is undeniable. Had a ton of offers, all big, high major power, a ton of power for interest, and a one-time Penn State commit. And listen, it's always great to get a big recruiting win in South Jersey. So certainly, great news for Rutgers football. Jaylen Matthews, four-star, just in terms of his background. He is a three-star per 24/7 Sports, but in terms of the composite, he's a four-star top 250 recruit. So joins Tariq Hare, the safety who just committed the other day. Rated the number 26 offensive tackle in the country, top 7 or 8 recruit in New Jersey. And like I said, had about 30 offers, most of them Power 4, and is ending up at Rutgers now, which really gives Pat Flaherty and Greg Schiano, offensive coordinator Kirk Shiraka, quite a stable of offensive line recruits in the 25 class. In terms of individual player grade per 24/7 Sports, individually, Jaylen Matthews, Blackston from Maryland, another 4-star. Jaden Elijah from Mattawan, Niki Owen from Michigan, Chris Vigna, all 88 player grade ratings. Talked about 88 kind of being where you want to be as a class average. They're not quite there yet, but they've moved up quite a bit now. They're at 87.41, moving in the right direction, no doubt. And then Garrett Gordon out of Ocala, Florida, has an 86 rating. But in terms of the offer list, I mean, all these guys had at least a dozen offers other than Vigna. Most of Vigna's offers were Power 4. So it's great to see that all 6 recruits were well-regarded rating-wise and Power 4 offer-wise. So in terms of talent, in terms of potential, Rutgers done a really, really good job on the offensive line. Talked yesterday, one of my takeaways was shoring up position depth and talent with the secondary and also the offensive line. And now you have Matthews. And the crazy thing is, in terms of the composite rankings, they have 4 4-star composite prospects now. And 3 of them are on the offensive line. That's Jaylen Matthews. That's Joshua Blackston. So 2 in the last 2 days. Also, Tariq Hare, the safety. And then recently upgraded over the weekend, Niki Owen, the offensive lineman out of Michigan. Personally, just on film, I like him the best, just in terms of what I think he can ultimately become. But it's have 6 offensive line recruits, all well regarded in terms of offers and ratings, and 3 of them 4-star composite ratings. It's huge progress for a program that desperately needs to compete and to win in the trenches, and have struggled for close to a decade in terms of doing that. I always thought, obviously they need more skilled position players. They need more depth, on the 2 deep and offensive playmakers. But in terms of the offensive line and also the defensive line, that's where Rutgers is really going to be able to take that step forward. If they can build a pipeline and build depth and improve that talent and solidify the offensive line, which is, been a work in progress for, decades prior to joining the Big Ten, right? There's been some good runs for sure. Obviously, Schiano's heyday, the 2006 through 2009 teams, very good offensive line, but Rutgers has not matched that since. And this has now an opportunity to have a ton of talent to mold. Matthews could be a monster tackle. You have Wynn, and don't sleep on Vigna either. Bergen Catholic, North Jersey representing. Great size, good fundamentals. It's just going to be fun to be able to see, Pat Flaherty, how many years he has left. I mean, he's got a chance to build a really strong offensive line at Rutgers with the talent coming in. In the 2022 class, Rutgers signed 7 offensive linemen, but the big difference there is that 5 of them had no higher than a grade of 86. Now, again, recruiting is not a perfect science, and I'm not, degrading anyone that isn't rated above that. But in terms of the potential, in terms of the ceiling of this current group versus the 22 group, just on paper, statistically, in terms of the grades, much higher ceiling. And of course, sadly, 3 of those recruits have since medically retired, including the highest rated offensive lineman of that group, Jacob Allen from Hun, the offensive tackle. And the only one that's really amounted to making an impact is Asamoah, who's, battling for that right tackle spot right now, out of Ohio, was an 89. So those 2 guys were the highest rated. Everyone was 86 or below. And here you have 5 out of 6 rated 88 or above, and 3 or 4-star composite rated offensive linemen. So certainly exciting. And just in terms of Rutgers, like I said, that player grade now average 87.41. We'll see where 24/7 Sports Composite comes out with the class rankings. But remember, it's early in terms of the national landscape. Rutgers, is probably going to be in the top 10 now nationally. But, in terms of that player rated average, their trajectory is probably right now 30 to 35 based on past years, which, listen, is very good in terms of an upgrade, forward progress. I've talked about the importance of that after winning 7 games last year, having the first winning season in almost a decade. You have to take a step forward in recruiting, and they are. They might not be taking as big of a step as everyone wants them to, but again, they're getting the right guys. They're getting the fits they want. They're upgrading talent at multiple positions. They're stockpiling talent in multiple positions. They're improving depth. And after next season, that 25 team is going to be wide open in terms of who is going to fight for time in that 2 deep and spots in that 2 deep. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. But this class is definitely going to have an opportunity to make an impact in the 25 season. So how many ultimately enroll early will be something to watch for as well. But Jaelyne Matthews, big recruiting win for Rutgers. Got to love the Jersey shout out with the pizza, and 2 great New Jerseyans and Todd Frazier and Frankie Edgar as well. So Rutgers recruiting now with 22 spots. We'll see how many more spots they're able to fill. But again, the stability for the class now surely going to be in a very good position for Rutgers football entering the 24 season. And you're going to be able to really just have that security of knowing that you have most of your class done going into the year. See where they can, plug holes through the transfer portal, and also just in terms of managing the group expectations, maintaining the class, minimizing decommitments. The great thing about a lot of these kids that have committed over the last week plus now had multiple Power 4 and other Big Ten visits scheduled and have since canceled them. So maintaining the class now is a huge focus. But we'll see where they plug the holes. John Forster, the running back out of St. Joe's Montvale, that's another one to watch. Sounds like things are, certainly Rutgers is right in the mix there. That would be a big pickup as well. And there is another official visit weekend scheduled coming up. So we'll update you there. I'll have David Anderson on soon to watching some film with him. But great news for Rutgers football. Jaelyne Matthews, 4-star composite offensive lineman, getting the big guys up front and developing this offensive line is really going to raise the ceiling of this program. And if you're Pat Flaherty, if you're Kirk Shiraka and Greg Schiano, you got to feel pretty good about the job they've done in the 2025 class. More to come here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast. Thanks so much for listening and watching once again.